Let's explore why people behave as they do, so you can create amazing relationships. My relationships, understanding why people behave as they do. We've spent quite a bit of time giving you skills and capabilities, maps and models of reality, and powerful tools and approaches so that you can understand yourself and find the power within yourself to live the life you want to live. There'd be very, very few people who could enact and succeed with a source mission, a life purpose on their own. So we have to now start to figure out what makes other people tick. The 16th century poet John Donne, "No man is an island." We're not on our own. The Beatles, "I'll get by with a little help from my friends." So what we're going to do now is explore you gaining skills and abilities of reading other people and connecting with them so you can form better relationships. In the early 1900s, there were two very famous psychiatrists, Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. They were both interested in psychological illnesses, how people were challenged. They had a far less well-known colleague, William Marston. He was much more interested in what drove the behavior of normal people. And in 1928, he wrote a book, The Emotions of Normal People, because Marston said, people are like icebergs. That was the model he used. Now, you would know how much of an iceberg is above the surface of the water. 10%, 15, 20%, it depends on the density of the seawater. But most of an iceberg is below the surface of the water. Marston said, what you see is people's behavior, but it's pretty clear that people behave differently in the same set of circumstances. You may have seen some of those tragic amateur videos of the Southeast Asian tsunamis. So the sea goes out and the seabed dries up. And this guy's filming, there's people walking out across the flat sand picking up fish, and there are other people running for the hills. Two entirely different sets of behavior in the same situation. And Marston's question was, why do people behave as they do? And what he said is the first layer of the iceberg below the surface is their thoughts and their feelings. So our behaviors are clearly driven by our thoughts and our feelings. If you think you're going to be late for a meeting, then you may hurry up a bit. Your thought, I'm going to be late, has driven your behavior, hurry up. Or you feel hungry and you go to the fridge and see if there's something to eat. So our feelings also affect how we behave, what we do. What Marston said is, deeper down in our iceberg, that's inside you and everybody you meet, we are driven by our values and our beliefs. Now, our beliefs are what we believe. So in the 1400s, as Christopher Columbus was sailing west across the Atlantic, because the eastern route to the Spice Islands had been secured by the British and the French, he thought, well, if we sail west, we can get to the Spice Islands with nobody stopping us. Now, he believed that the world was round. He didn't know America was in the way. His sailors, however, thought the world was flat. So they started to think, well, hang on, Chris, we're getting near the edge of the world. We might fall off. Maybe this is a good time to turn the boat round and go back to Portugal. So can you see that what people believe affects what they think and feel, affects their behavior? Values we've covered separately. As you know, values are what make you strong. So it's pretty clear, depending on what your values are, what other people's values are, then that affects what you think and feel and how you behave. But here's the point. What Marston found, that deeper down in our icebergs, we are all driven by very deep needs and fears. And what Marston said, people will do anything to get their needs met, and people will do anything to avoid having their fears triggered. We talked earlier about us seeing you as 16-cylinder engines. 3 cylinders of body, 3 cylinders of mind, 5 cylinders of feeling, and 5 cylinders of spirit. as a metaphor, we see us as 16-cylinder engines. Now, if you imagine everybody's got two buttons, this is your needs button and this is your fears button. What will people do to get their needs met? Anything. So if we can elicit and understand people's very deep needs and help them get those needs met by hitting their needs button, do you think their 16 cylinders of firepower will shut down or fire up? They'll fire up. Conversely, if through ignorance you hit their fears button, what will people do to avoid their fears? Anything, says Marston. Then if you hit their fears button, do you think their 16 cylinders will fire up or shut down? Shut down. So this model of William Marston, needs and fears, underneath values and beliefs, underneath thoughts and feelings, underneath behavior, gives us a powerful tool to not only read people, but connect with them. And then, of course, because we see you as a metaphysical spirit being, beneath the needs and fears in the iceberg is your spirit. So what we're going to do now is explore this model of how people tick, what makes them behave, that Marston developed, to give you the ability to read somebody from their behavior, and then you change your behavior to reach out and hit their need button and avoid their fears button. Is this making sense? It gives you great power to understand and work optimally with people, and of course, the ability to form fabulous relationships. No man is an island. Let's make a start. Next, we'll explore reading people's behavior to help you understand what drives them.